What up guys, Supermetal983 here to bring you another album review, and this time I've got a very violent release for you to check out. If you're into your down-tempo, then this is definitely a release that you need to hear in 2019. But I'm going to be reviewing the debut album from Bound in Fear entitled The Hand of Violence. This is going to be released on August 16th through Unique Leader Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with Bound in Fear, they're a 5-piece down-tempo band hailing from the UK, and I first got introduced to this band back in 2017 with the release of their debut EP entitled Regicide, which is this one right here. I picked this up through Chugcore. I think it's still available, I'm not too sure, but yeah, this is some sick down-tempo stuff and really impressed me in 2017, and if I'm not mistaken, looking back, that this was my favourite EP of that year. Such grit, such heaviness, such edginess, and it was just so obnoxiously heavy. I just had to make this my EP of the year, and if you haven't heard this EP, make sure you do so. It's absolutely fantastic. I was mainly drawn to this EP because Rock from Within Destruction did a little guest spot on this EP, and I was still in the sort of hype, should we just say, of Void by Within Destruction. So as soon as I saw a guest spot, I had to check out this band, and that's what started us to like this band and follow them. And it's been obviously 2-3 years since the release of that EP, and the band has brought out a single since then entitled The Hand of Violence, which is the title track from this album, and that was basically like a setup for this debut album. And I honestly really love that song, and I believe that the version on this album is re-recorded if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that song, when I first heard it, I was in love with it, and I still am today. It's one of the most violent and heaviest things that I've heard in down-tempo, if you ask me. It's so violent, so heavy, and just so filled with might, if you ask me. And then not too long ago, the band announced that they were signing to Unique Leader Records to bring out this full length entitled The Hand of Violence. And then not too long after that announcement, I got the promo from Unique Leader to review on the channel, so stick around for the review. So it's 10 tracks and runs around 44 minutes in length. And I know I said earlier in the year that Traitors Repent was the heaviest album you will hear in 2019. That's how I felt at the time. And there's the key words, at the time. Because I think Traitors Repent has been dethroned as to the heaviest, most skull-crushing and mind-numbing album that we are going to hear in 2019. Because I think Bound in Fear's The Hand of Violence definitely has taken that throne, if you ask me. Because this album is just repulsive and disgustingly heavy. Like, this is absolutely wretched to listen to. This is something that, in my opinion, is going to insinuate violence left, right and centre and start prison riots across streets, prisons, anywhere you can think of. It's gonna create some mindless violence, if you ask me. And quite frankly, I think compared to Regicide, they have absolutely trumped that EP. And I said before, that EP was absolutely fantastic, obnoxiously heavy, but I think this has took it up another fucking level, and I didn't think that was fucking possible, if you ask me. The overall feeling that I felt when I first heard this album was kind of in the same sort of way when I first heard the likes of the Hate Campaign by Traitors, for example, and also to an extent the self-titled EP from Traitors as well, and Born Hanged by Black Tongue and the Unconquerable Dark as well. I kind of get those vibes of down-tempo on here, where it's just obnoxiously heavy. It's not here for flash, it's not here to show off, it's just here just to create endless breakdowns and just beat you down in the fucking dust, if you ask me. And that's what I feel like the best way to describe this album is, because I feel like this album is not only one of the most heaviest albums you will hear in 2019, but also one of the strongest. I absolutely love the musicianship that is going on this album, especially in comparison to Regicide. Like, Regicide was just a straight obnoxious down-tempo race, whereas this one, I feel there's a lot more variety going for it, especially in the vocal department, for example. Like, there's a lot of elements that combinate into making this a very unique sounding down-tempo race. I mean, the vocals kind of put us in mind of what's his name, CJ from Signs of the Swamp, or not traitors, Lorna Shore, for example, that really wretched, putrid, filth-fest vocals that are just gnarly and just rancid, really, if you ask me. Like, but on top of that, there is still the elements of down-tempo, really low, monstrous vocals, but then there's like the hardcore, elemental sort of commanding style vocals that are just filled with so much pain and suffering that it just feels like it's utter despair in those vocals. It's just pouring out in hatred and animosity. It's just so great. It gets you really pumped up from the get-go when the first song kicks in, Saint of Sorrow, which is a great setup to the album because it's quite a long intro. It's about half of the song at least, but then when it comes in, it's just like a massive smack bang wallop to the face, if you ask me. It's just something just to smack you right in the face. There we go. Smack you right in the face and just not let up from there till the end of the album, if you ask me. I mean, there's like a sophomore variant sort of I wouldn't exactly call it an interlude as much. I would just say it a more a softened up down tempo sort of thing. It's the best way I can describe it. In the shape of I think it's Parallels. Yeah, it just eases up just a little bit, but it's still obnoxiously heavy and it's still a punch in the face, but it's just dwell back just a little bit, just to give you a little bit of a, you could say, a break or resting place before the violence kicks in again on Hate Circuit, which is another song which are released on this album prior to the album's release, obviously. But we're going to go back a little bit until the second song, which is The Rot Within, which is the first song they released from this album, which I was really, really looking forward to hearing as soon as it popped up on my YouTube subscription, you know. And I was really immersed straight away within that song, that it was just a sheer beatdown from the get-go. It was just like stomping you into the fucking ground, and it didn't give a shit. It wasn't going to let go. It was just going to curb stomp you into the motherfucking ground. But then towards the end of the song, you get a little guest spot from the giant that is Alex Tian of Black Tongue, and he is already an obnoxious, commanding vocalist as is, in his monstrous lows come in and you just think, oh, this is gonna kick us in the face so fucking hard. Oh, I'm ready for it. And then it just boots you right in the face. Like, it's not like a little kick, it's a full-on drop kick right in your face, and it's just like, oh, it gives you chills just listening to this album. Like, it is unrelentingly heavy, and it's just beat down after beat down after beat down, and it's just so gritty. And then that flows into the third song, which is called Condemned, which is another great song on this album, featuring Adam Mercer of Entombed in the Abyss, which I only recently checked out that band, so make sure you check out that band as well. I might leave a link in the description. Keep an eye out for that. Anyway, but yeah, his vocals are very rancid and putrid sounding as well. They take on more, I'd say, on more of a brutal death metal sort of vocal approach to his vocals that really set the vocal swing apart and set him apart from Ben's vocals that you hear on this album. Another one of my favourite songs on this album has to be Stigmata, which is another absolute ride of just putrid heaviness and just beatdowns. It's not going to let go. Like, at that point, I think that was the point when I realised that this album was just not going to let go, because that's already going through, like, well, let's say Saint of Sorrow is a full-length song. But yeah, flowing through that into Stigmata, you just know straight away it's not going to let go from that point onwards, and you just embraced, impaled to your chair, walking around, or even you just stopped in motion when you're walking around or something, you know. It's just unrelenting. And then you get into the fifth song, which is features a guest that I really wasn't surprised by, but we'll get to that in a second, which is called Void of Life, which is another masterful song, but also it features the guest spot of Tyler Shelton of Traitors, and I think that's kind of where I get the vibes from. But his vocals right at the end, so signature and just so commanding. I love commanding vocals when it comes to downtown. It's just filled with so much animosity and rage. And Tyler is definitely one of those. And together with Ben, they just sound Just so gritty, if you ask me. And then, as I said, you flow into the song Parallels, which is kind of like a more mellowed down kind of stuff, but it still punches you right in the fucking face when it needs to. And then another one of the all Bound in Fear songs that I really like is Hate Circuit, one of the songs that they have released prior to this album's release, and yeah, that song is literally filled with hatred and animosity. It's just an absolute devastator of a song, so make sure you check that one out. It'll be linked down below, along with The Hand of Violence and The Rot Within, because those are the songs that have been released so far. And if any more get released, I'll link them down below. And yeah, and then the eighth song, which is The Hand of Violence, the title track, which they've re-recorded, which I feel they have re-recorded. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, that one is just the start of it is just bone-shattering. It literally feels like an absolute earthquake in your ears. It's just so rumbling and gut-wrenching. It's just unnerving to hear. And then you float into the ninth song, which is called So Long, So Cold, which features Kyle Medina, which is of Body Snatcher, and his vocals in that are just, like, when he comes in with those chanty hardcore bits, you can feel it just setting up for sheer utter violence and domination from that little guest spot. It's just, it just fills you with grit and just makes you want to pump and just get really riled up. It's just obnoxious. I absolutely love it. And then the final song, the conclusion to the album, is Absolution, which is another absolutely fantastic song. But yeah, as I said, this album is just not gonna let go, if you ask me. And the production, it sounds, the best way I can describe it is just really disturbing sounding and just overall powerful. It's a very powerful down-tempo release, and like, it just sounds like an absolute beat down into the ground from really obnoxious, punchy guitars. Some really intricate grooves in there that really get you two-step on or just make you want to headbang. But then the beat downs and the down-tempo bits come in, and it's just like, you can just imagine seeing these guys live and just seeing utter violence left, right, centre, behind you, and you are part of it, basically. And it's absolutely fantastic to hear. It's just so heavy, so skull-crushing, and I think we have the heaviest album of 2019 right fucking here. So if you want some incredible down-tempo, then definitely check these guys out. I'd definitely say if you're a fan of, like as I said, Traitors, Black Tongue, or even Body Snatcher, then this is definitely a band for you. And this album is absolutely fantastic. Unique Leader pumping out some incredible deathcore in 2019, and this one joins the market, if you ask me. Absolutely fantastic. Make sure you check out Bound in Fear with their debut album entitled The Hand of Violence, which is going to be out August 16th through Unique Leader Records. And for an overall score, though, I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. Absolutely incredible album, and it's just obnoxious. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And make sure you check this one out. And I'll see you until the next video. And remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.